Okay, so picture this company just quietly taking over their market.
Hmm.
Their strategy is so effective, it's got people comparing them to like this legendary 147x return.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at today is the hype reel with OMDA.
All right.
We've got excerpts from this analyst report I was looking at.
Yeah.
Some really interesting comparisons to other companies
Mhm.
and more our mission
Mhm.
to figure out if OMDA is actually like a really compelling investment or not.
Right.
And the thing that stood out most to me was this comparison they make to Constellation software,
Right.
the
Yeah.
Canadian tech giant.
Yeah. Constellation's famous for taking these small, kind of like overlooked software companies and
Mm.
making them hum. And yeah, the fact their stock is up 147 times since their IPO, that's not a typo. That got my
Wow.
attention too.
147x. I mean, it's almost impossible to imagine.
Yeah.
So how do they do it?
Well, it all comes down to a few things. They're laser focused on businesses with really low churn rates. Once a company integrates, Constellation software switching is a nightmare.
Right.
It's expensive. It's a pain. So they've got this really sticky customer base.
Right.
And then on top of that, they're masters at operating in these like really fragmented markets. The kind that are just ripe for consolidation.
Mm-hmm.
They swoop in, buy up all these smaller players who are struggling to compete, and then they just plug them into their well-oiled machine.
Wow.
It's an impressive playbook.
It is. So how does OMDA fit into this?
Right.
Are they just ripping off Constellation's playbook?
Well, that is the question, isn't it? They're definitely playing in a similar sandbox.
Right.
OMDA's focused on the European hospital software market.
Yeah.
Specifically the Nordics.
Okay.
And guess what? It's another market full of small players and not much consolidation.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm starting to see some parallels here.
Yeah.
Lots of potential acquisitions,
Mm-hmm.
super specialized market.
Right.
But can they actually pull off what Constellation did, but, in Europe?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. See, they're not just copying the playbook. They're adding their own unique twist.
Okay, you've got my attention.
Yeah.
Let's break it all down.
Okay.
So we've got this European hospital software market.
Right.
It's like right for the picking.
Yeah.
And OMDA's ready to like step in.
Yeah. They're well positioned.
But what's their strategy?
So they're laser focused on these small, often unprofitable hospital software companies,
Okay.
mostly in the Nordics.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking companies with like profit margins in the low single digits, sometimes even negative.
Oof, rough shape.
Yeah.
So OMDA swoops in.
Right.
What's the plan? How do they turn that around?
Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. They take these companies, and within 18 to 24 months, they've usually bumped those margins up to like 30%.
30%.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How do they do that?
It's a combination of things. First, they're really good at cutting costs,
Okay.
like centralizing back office functions, streamlining operations across all their different companies.
So they're getting rid of all the waste.
Exactly. They're like the Marie Kondo of hospital software.
I like it. But what about the contracts?
Oh, yeah. That's a big part of it. See, a lot of the companies OMDA acquires, they weren't exactly known for having these like
Right.
airtight contracts. So
Um,
OMDA sweeps in with their no price increase
Right.
model.
No price increase.
Yeah, for a set period after the acquisition.
Interesting. So no sticker shock for the hospitals.
Exactly.
Builds a little bit of trust.
Right.
But how does OMDA make money?
Patience.
Okay.
By holding off on those price increases,
Mm-hmm.
they lock in these long-term contracts.
Makes sense.
So they have this nice steady stream of recurring revenue.
Right.
And then over time, they slowly start to optimize those contracts. Always to OMDA's advantage, of course.
It's like a long game.
Exactly. It's chess, not checkers.
But 18 to 24 months, that's a while.
Yeah, it can take time to work through those contracts.
What's the holdup?
Well, this is where OMDA has a bit of a secret weapon.
Hmm.
One of their co-founders. He used to be head of IT for a major hospital.
Aha,
So he knows these contracts inside and out.
the insider.
Exactly.
He can spot those loopholes, negotiate better terms.
Exactly.
They're not just software experts. They're playing 3D chess with these contracts.
That's a great way to put it.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, that level of expertise is invaluable in this market.
So they're like the software whisperers of the hospital world.
I like that.
They come in,
Assess the situation,
quietly do their thing.
and suddenly everything's running smoother and more profitably.
Exactly.
And that's why they're so interesting. But we've only scratched the surface.
This is starting to sound like a real opportunity here.
Yeah, it's definitely got potential.
But before we get too carried away, let's talk about competition. What's stopping some big company from just moving in?
Yeah, good question. That's what you always got to ask.
Right.
What are the moats?
Exactly.
Well, OMDA's got a couple things working in their favor.
Oak.
Remember how we were talking about how sticky those hospital systems are?
Oh, yeah, they're mission critical.
Totally. Like once they're in,
Yeah.
it's not easy to just switch.
Right. It would be a nightmare.
Exactly. So hospitals don't like to do it.
Makes sense.
And that means incredibly low churn rates for OMDA.
Like, how low are we talking?
According to this report, practically zero.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got customer loyalty built right into their business model.
So that's one moat.
Right.
What's the other one?
M&A expertise. They haven't just stumbled onto this. They've been building relationships, putting together this database of potential acquisitions in the Nordics for over a decade.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not like someone can just waltz in and copy them overnight.
They've got the map, the lay of the land.
They know everyone.
They're weaving their web.
That's a good way to put it.
It's smart.
It is.
But even with all that,
Yeah.
can they keep growing?
Right. Is there a ceiling here?
Yeah.
Well, the report suggests they've got a two-pronged approach.
Okay, I like it.
First, they've got organic growth potential. They can cross-sell to their existing customer base.
Right, all those hospitals they already work with.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And then their acquisitions.
Right. Can they keep buying up companies at this pace?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The report says OMDA wants to hit NOK 1 billion in sales soon.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It is.
Do they think they can get there just through acquisitions?
They seem to think so.
Huh. Well, the market is definitely big enough.
Yeah, that's for sure. The European hospital software market is massive.
And fragmented.
Exactly.
So the opportunity is there.
It is. But of course there are risks.
Right. Nothing's guaranteed in this game.
That's true.
So let's talk about those risks.
Okay.
What could go wrong?
Well, one thing that jumped out to me, OMDA hasn't actually made a major acquisition in a couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, their pace has slowed down.
I wonder why.
Hard to say for sure. Could be that valuations are just crazy right now. Might be tough to find a deal that makes sense.
Right.
Or maybe there's something internal going on. Either way, it's something to watch.
Okay, so that's one risk.
Right.
What else?
Competition.
Oh, right.
It's not a huge problem yet.
Bet it could be.
Exactly.
Especially with Constellation sniffing around.
Right.
They've been making some moves in Europe.
They have. And they've got the track record.
Yeah, if they go all in on Europe.
Things could get interesting.
Okay, so we got acquisitions slowing down. We got competition heating up.
Yeah.
What about the big one?
You mean AI?
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the big disruptor.
Everyone's talking about it.
For good reason.
Right. I mean, it's changing everything.
It really is.
So how does that affect OMDA?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, AI is going to impact hospital software.
Right. It's only a matter of time.
But how? Who's going to come out on top? Those are the questions we need to be asking.
Fascinating. So risks everywhere.
In this business, there always are.
But also opportunities.
Exactly.
Now, what makes you optimistic about OMDA?
Well, for one thing, their management team.
Okay.
They're experienced.
Okay.
And they're invested in the company. Like, they own a lot of stock.
Oh, wow. So their interests are aligned with ours.
Yes.
I like it.
And they're playing the long game.
That's good to hear.
And then there's their track record. It's one thing to talk about a strategy.
Right.
But they've actually executed it.
Yeah, they've done it.
They're not just acquiring companies. They're making them better.
More efficient.
Right.
More profitable.
Exactly.
So they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they've got the operational expertise.
And they understand hospitals.
Deep.
That's got to be valuable in the age of AI.
Absolutely. I think that gives them a real edge.
Yeah, maybe even more so than those big generalized software companies.
Could be.
Interesting. So who knows if they'll reach the same heights as Constellation?
Yeah, it's still early.
But they're playing the same game. And they're winning.
For now, at least.
That's for sure. And I love their focus on customers.
Yeah, me too.
It's not just about the bottom line.
Right. They really want to serve those hospitals.
They're in it for the long haul.
Definitely a company to watch.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, here's something to think about. Could this deep understanding of hospitals actually be a secret weapon against AI?
It's an interesting question.
It really is. Lots to think about.
As always.
Well, that's our deep dive on OMDA.
Very interesting company.
It was great talking to you about it.
Yeah, this was fun.
Until next time, everyone keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, happy investing.